And we're back. Welcome back to All That Erica. I'm Erica. For those of you who are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video and giving me a view and wanting to see what all this rambling is about. And for those of you who are returning, I'm still Erica. I'm still all that. But no, I'm still Erica and I'm still here rambling and talking to myself about books. In today's video, we are going to talk about all the books I've read so far in the month of March. I'm going to give like a quick review of them and what I was feeling of them, and then also the rest of my plans for March, since I really didn't do a March TBR since I just started the channel. So that is what's going to happen in this video. I'm not sure how long it's going to be. Who knows, because I can go off on a tangent, but I'm hoping it won't be that long because I do not want to stay up all night editing this, right? But yeah, I have all the books around me that I've read so far. I do have notes on my phone, so apologies if I'm looking at my phone. But before we jump into it, if you want to grab a snack, go ahead, and then we will get right to it. All right, so welcome back to those of you who decided to get a snack, bathroom break, whatever you needed to do. We're just going to dive on in. So far I've read 10 books for the month of March, and 1 of the 10 have been a DNF. And we're just going to quickly run through my reviews of the books that I do have. If I don't have it, I'll put it on the screen, and then wrap it up with books that I hope to wrap up March with. All right, so the first book that I read in the month of March was South to America, A Journey Below the Mason-Dixon to Understand the Soul of a Nation by Ebony Perry. I did pre-order this one, and to my surprise, it was a signed first edition. So I'm really excited about that. But basically, this is a nonfiction book where Dr. Perry details all of the states below the Mason-Dixon line. She starts with West Virginia and then works her way down south and tells through like oral history and like her own familial history just about like the South, which I really enjoyed about this. Like, as they say, as Outcast has said, you know, the South got something to say, right? And this book, I think, like, totally sums up Outcast and they're wanting to say, like, hey, don't exclude the South from conversations. So yeah, I don't know. This was a really great book. I really enjoyed it. This will probably be something I definitely reread in the upcoming months. But yeah, something I'm excited to have on my shelves, and definitely something I highly suggest and highly recommend to those of you who enjoy history like myself. Next up was Masters of Poison by Andrea Hairston, and this was my 1 DNF so far for the month. And this, I think the best way to say, is like an African inspired fantasy with like environmental themes and undertones interspersed throughout the story. So I will put the book here because I did return it to the library. But the synopsis is: the world is changing. Poison desert eats good farmland. Once Sweetwater turns foul, the wind blows sand and sadness across the empire. To get caught in a storm is death. To live and do nothing is death. There's magic in the world, but good conjure is hard to find. Like, when I read that, that sounded really cool, really promising. And then I don't know, I DNF'd this one at 182 pages in, just because I had no clue what was going on. There was a bunch of characters. I think we are following 2 points of view, if I can remember correctly, and it just didn't work for me. I know I mentioned before I'm not a huge fantasy lover, and I think that's probably, why I didn't enjoy it, because it may have been like too much of fantasy, like what are they called, epic fantasies, and maybe my little brain just isn't ready for epic fantasies yet. Next was The Perfect Ruin by Shanora Williams, and I also don't have that one. I think, yeah, I listened to an audiobook of this, so I'll put that there. And I gave this one 4 stars, and this is like a psychological thriller where we are following our main character Ivy, who is seeing a therapist to like work through her childhood trauma, specifically like an event that Ivy claims ruined her life. And one day her therapist gives her like this key detail, which was the name of the person who was said to destroy Ivy's life. And then we follow Ivy like trying to infiltrate this woman. Her name was Lola Maxwell. So trying to just like infiltrate Lola's life and trying to really figure out why Lola ruined her life. And usually books do not make me laugh out loud. Like, I think that's like, every time I see people's reviews of like, oh, I found myself laughing, I always like picture myself like, really? Like, it was funny. But this one definitely had me laughing out loud. Like, Ivy was hilarious to me. And just like being in like her inner monologue and inside her head just had me cracking up. I will say I did kind of piece together the mystery a little quickly. But yeah, it was good. A good mystery read by like a Black woman. And I believe I did talk about Shanora's next book that comes out in the spring quarter. I forget which month, but I did talk about that in my anticipated reads video, which I will link up in the cards. Definitely check that one out. So yeah, I'm excited to read more by Shanora and hopefully continue more of their backlist. Up we have The Chosen One, a first generation Ivy League Odyssey by Echo Brown, and I gave this one 2 stars. The synopsis says, Echo Brown testifies to the disappointments and triumphs of a Black first-generation college student in this fearless exploration of the first-year experience. And to me, this one just wasn't it. I don't know. It has a lot of magical realism elements in it, and I just wasn't a fan. Like, I did read Black Girl Unlimited by Echo Brown and really enjoyed that one. It also had magical realism elements to it, but I think for this one, I just went into this like, oh, we're going to get more of a biography of Echo's experience, because I think this is based off of Echo's life. And so I was just excited to hear more about their experience, and we did get like details, or I was excited to hear about Echo's experience at an Ivy League college, and I will say we did get some elements of that in this book, but I think just the magical realism part, it just like threw me for a loop. So we would like learn about Echo going home, and then bam, some other things would happen. So I did listen to the audiobook along with reading this, and the audiobook has like spooky elements to it. So like when something magical would occur, like a spooky sound would creep through, and I think that's what was like caused me to continue to read this book, because I like spooky things. So I don't know, this just wasn't it for me. I do want to continue to read more of Echo's work, but yeah, this one just didn't work for me. I found Black. All right, next, I think this is the only romance I've read so far this month, and this is Digging Up Love by Chandra Bloomberg. And first, like, look at this cover. Do you see this? These bones. I think I said in my anticipated reads, I might have talked about loving Jurassic Park, or maybe in my BookTube newbie tag. But yeah, I gave this one 3 stars. It was just an okay, right? 3 stars? Yeah, this was just like an okay romance to me. We're following our 2 main characters, Alicia Blake and Quentin. What was Quentin's last name? Yeah, Quentin Harris. Alicia, she's a baker, and also she works at her grandparents' barbecue joint, which is like so cool. But she works at her grandparents' barbecue restaurant in like a small town outside of Chicago. And then Quentin is a paleontologist and a professor at, I forget what university it is, but he works at a university in Chicago. And the 2 meet because Alicia's grandparents, who she lives with, are doing renovations in their backyard. They want to put a pool in, and once the renovations happen, they happen to unearth a dinosaur fossil. So Quentin is sent to, I guess, validate the claims of the fossil. And then the 2 meet and like instantly are attracted to each other. I don't want to say instantly fall in love, but they're like instantly attracted to each other. The reason why this didn't work for me is because both of them were annoying. Neither one of them knew how to communicate with each other. Like, they would get mad at each other for basically like doing the same thing. And yeah, I don't know, it just didn't work for me because they were annoying. Like can you 2 just learn how to communicate and not judge the other for like failing at something you succeed in? I don't know. I do know Chandra has another, I think a companion novel to this, coming out this year. So I don't know if I want to continue on with it. I mean, it was a quick and easy read, but just didn't work for me. Let's see. Okay, next was a huge disappointment. It's The Lost Dreamer by Liz Haretta. And I pre-ordered this. Like, look at the cover. I pre-ordered this, and just sadly, I did not enjoy this. I gave this 2.5 stars, and the premise is a stunning YA fantasy inspired by ancient Mesoamerica. This gripping debut introduced us to a lineage of seers defiantly resisting the shifting patriarchal state that would see them destroyed. Perfect for fans of Tomi Adeyemi and Saba Tahir. And again, like I said, that premise, like Mesoamerica, another time period I'm interested in reading more books about. And of course, shifting like patriarchal society. Yes, sign me up. And then it had like the lineage, which I love, generational lineages. And it didn't work for me. I don't know. We're following 2 main characters, Indira and Saya. And I can't even remember like the difference between 2. One of them is like an actual seer who has like a family of seers, and then the other one, she has the ability to see, but like she's not like a traditional seer who doesn't live like in the temples and stuff. And we're just following them as they're like weave throughout their stories, and there's a twist at the end, which I kind of picked up on. But yeah, the ending like confirmed it for me, but it just didn't save the book enough for me. So I did pre-order this, and although the cover is beautiful, I don't know if I'm gonna keep this on my shelves or not, or return it to, I think I bought this in the Target buy 2 get 1 free sale. But yeah, sadly, this one just didn't work for you, girl. It just didn't work for you, girl. Sorry. And I definitely want to read more about this author. I just think this book just didn't work for me. I hope they do continue to write in the Mesoamerica period. I have The Red Palace by June Her, and I did give this 3 stars. And this is basically a historical fiction with like a mystery. So like historical mystery, and I really like this genre. We are in Joseon, which is modern day Korea, 1758. There are a few options available to illegitimate daughters in the capital city, but through hard work and study, 18-year-old Hayeon, I forget how to say this name, sorry, has earned a position as a palace nurse. All she wants to do is keep her head down, do a good job, and perhaps finally win her estranged father's approval. And then murder takes place. The king has concubines, and a bunch of the concubines are dead, and so our main character is sets out to solve the mystery, essentially. So it says, the crown prince killed me, the crown prince killed the 4 women, the crown prince will kill again. And like, just that's such a beautiful picture on the back. But to me, I mean, this was just an okay historical fiction, historical mystery. It was a slow burn, definitely a slow burn. And I don't know if you're not a fan of slow burns or not, but this is something you probably will not want to pick up, because it just like, it provided a lot of details about things, and I like that in books because, again, I'm a huge like history nerd. So it provided like a lot of details about like the day-to-day lives, like what people are wearing, what they're eating during this time period. And then like the mystery like elements were weaved in throughout. So if you don't like slow burn mysteries, this is not the book for you. If you do, I would definitely recommend it. And I also want to continue to read more of June's work. I think they tend to write a lot of historical fiction, historical mysteries. So I definitely want to add their work to my ever-growing backlist TBR. All right, next up is Wings of Ebony by JL, and this is book number 1 in the, I want to say, Wings of Ebony series. This was a reread for me. I wanted to reread it before I dived into book number 2 that was released this year, and I do have that. But yeah, basically we're following our main character, Rue, who is a self-proclaimed orphan, right? Rue's mother was a victim of gun violence, and then her father like disappeared at one point in her life. Let me check my notes. Yeah, so Rue is left behind to raise her half-sister Tasha, and one day Rue is like plucked from her neighborhood in Houston and tossed into this world of Gazan. So from there we follow Rue as like she's learning that, you know, she has magical powers, and we're learning that Rue is also like struggling between managing the two worlds, with trying to continue to raise her sister, but then also struggling with trying to be involved in the magical world of Gazan. I don't usually do rereads, so it was good to reread this one because there were a lot of things I missed the first time around. Like we talk a lot, or this book talks a lot about like colonization and racism, and I don't even want to say like, oh, what is it called? Affirmative action. So it talks like, it tackles a lot of like modern day things, but like from a fantastical elements. And then there's also these people that Rue meets, a group of people that I'm assuming are Black people, in this place called Yayo Peak. And we're learning about like Rue's, again, her familial connections through the people of Yayo Peak. And I think that was just the part for me that like fell short, because again, I'm newer to fantasy and I think I need like all the details of things, and we didn't really get a lot of information about the people of Yayo Peak or like their magical system, and maybe book number 2 explores that. But that was just like my only gripe with it. Overall, I really enjoyed this. Again, I'm not a big fantasy person, but I think this, because I believe this is YA fantasy, I think this just has enough in it for me to like follow along as compared to like some of the epic fantasies that I read or tried to read before. Next we have another reread, which is like, who is Erica this month, because I normally do not do rereads, but I happen to do 2 in the month of March, which is like shocking to me. But I did reread Their Eyes Are Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston, which I don't even know how to describe. I don't know how to describe this. Basically, it's a Black classic book where we're following Janie, and we're following her across like multiple periods of her life, and we just get to see like how Janie has like, it's like a coming of age story about a Black woman in, I believe, the 30s, I want to say. Yeah, the 30s. Love Zora's writing. I don't know, just something about the way that Zora wrote characters across multiple like periods or stages of their lives is just like amazing to me. Again, this was a reread, and I don't know why I don't reread things a lot, but when I reread this, like things just like popped back up into my mind again about the first time I read it, and I really enjoyed this the second time around, because I think I just more so took my time with it and really sat with the characters, and just really enjoyed reading about Janie, and I just can't wait to continue to read more of Zora's works. Finally, we have The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, and this was a huge disappointment to me, and I think only because like so many people hyped this up in their like most anticipated reads book that I went into this like, ooh, this is gonna be so great. I never read The Guest List by Lucy Foley and have seen like mixed reviews of that, but I don't think I went into, or I took that into account when I was reading this book. So yeah, I gave this one 2 stars and actually just wrapped this up today. I initially started reading the physical copy of it, and then I switched to the audiobook because girl, this was boring. This was boring. I don't know, it just like from the premise it sounded so great. It says, meet the residents of number 12 Rue de Amance. Girl, let me not even try to be French. A beautiful old apartment building in the city of light. There's the socialite, the nice guy, the alcoholic, the girl on the verge, the concierge. Everyone's a neighbor, everyone's a suspect, and everyone knows something they're not telling. See you in Paris. Like, that just sounds amazing. I'm usually not a fan of multiple POVs, but like I stated before, I'm trying to get back into mystery thrillers, into that genre. So I was like, yeah, let me pick up this mystery to see. And yeah, that's where it fell for me. I figured out the mystery maybe halfway through this book. I shouldn't even say the mystery. I figured out like the twist, or maybe not the twist. I figured out like the details of it, of the people living in this building. So I figured that out, and then I kind of pieced together the mystery too. But then I don't know, at the end there was like a final, or before everything wrapped up, there was like a final scene of something that happens, and I literally just was like, girl, like, you really wrote this into this like book. And it just was like, to me, I just caught myself like rolling my eyes like, come on, like, seriously, really? So yeah, this this was very disappointing, and I don't think I even want to attempt to read the guest list. If it's like this, where it was just slow, boring, and dry, yeah, I don't think I'll be a fan of their other writing. So now we're going to move on to the books that I plan on reading for the rest of March. There are a lot of books here. I don't know if I'm going to get through them, but these are just mainly what I have checked out from my library, and a few that are on my shelves that I want to try to get through and get back to the library so other people can enjoy these books. Right. First up, I have Coming of Age in Mississippi, which is a classic autobiography of growing up poor and Black in the rural South by Anne Moody. Excuse my bookmark. Okay, this is all I had at the time. About 60 pages into this, and it's basically just an autobiography of Anne Moody growing up in the rural Black South. And I think it is, yeah, in the days of the pre-civil rights era, and we're following her across, I want to say 4 periods of her life. Like the current period I'm in, yeah, childhood, high school, college, and then the movement, which I'm assuming is the civil rights movement. But so far, I mean, it's really good. I really enjoy like reading like Black English at the time, and I appreciate that her editor didn't like force her to change the way that she's writing things, because she's writing the way she speaks, which resonates with me as a Black woman. But yeah, I really enjoy this. I really like, again, another book about the South I'm reading this month, but I really enjoy just seeing things through her eyes and learning about her hard childhood right now. Like there's times they're only eating bread and beans, or she had beans to eat. So I'm curious to see how she'll continue to grow throughout her life, and how each stage of her life just leads to the person that she was. Only a Monster by Vanessa Lynn. And it says, with the sweeping romance of Passenger and the dark fantasy edge of This Savage Song, this standout YA contemporary fantasy debut from Vanessa Lynn is the first in a planned trilogy. And it should have been the perfect summer. Sent to stay with her late mother's eccentric family in London, 16-year-old Joan is determined to enjoy herself. She loves her nerdy job at the historic Holland House, and when her super cute coworker Nick asks her on a date, it feels like everything is falling into place. So yeah, I'm excited about this. I could have swore I thought this had like a mystery involved as well, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Excuse me. We'll see if I like this or not. I don't know. I thought this was a mystery. But yeah, from that premise, it sounded really good. I really just picked this up because of the cover. Like, come on, the cover. But yeah, that is on my list. Cover love. Oh, just look how beautiful that is. Oh my gosh. Even our hair looks similar. Like the purple. Purple's my favorite color. But next is Carolina, built by Kiana Alexander. And I believe this is a historical fiction, and it says, this exuberant celebration of Black women's joy as well as their achievements novelizes the life of real estate magnate Josephine and Larry in a previously untold story of passion, perseverance, and building a legacy after emancipation in North Carolina. Sign me up, right? I love to read about Black women. I love to read about Black women who made changes in their lives despite like the circumstances that they were born into. And of course, it's historical fiction, which is a genre that I like immediately gravitate towards. And the cover, like, girl, what? Please. So this is Ashes of Gold by JL, and like, look at this cover, y'all. But anyway, this is the sequel to Wings of Ebony, and again, we're following Rue. She is like kidnapped again. Poor girl. This girl just keeps getting like snatched up. But she's kidnapped again, and she's waking up. We're just following her on her journey to reclaim her people's stolen magic, right? Another just like beautiful cover. Like, Jay, I need to know your first name, but Jay, these covers are beautiful. Beautiful. We have Cherishpharah by Bethany C. Morrow. And again, another beautiful cover. And this one, it says, from best-selling author Bethany C. Morrow comes a new adult social horror novel in the vein of Get Out meets My Sister the Serial Killer, about Farah, a young, calculating black girl who manipulates her way into the lives of her black best friend's white, wealthy, adoptive family, but soon suspects she may not be the only one with ulterior motives. I loved Get Out. I didn't read My Sister the Serial Killer, so I'm excited to read this one. I did see a few reviews about it, some negative, some positive, so I'm excited to hopefully dig into this one before March is over. Another beautiful cover, oh my gosh, Bitter by Akweke Emeze, which is the prequel, I guess you can say, the prequel to Pet, which I did read last year. And it says, Bitter is thrilled to have chosen to attend Eucalyptus, a special school where she can focus on her painting, surrounded by other creative teens. But outside this haven, the streets are filled with protests against the deep injustices that grip the town of Lucille. Bitter's instinct is to stay safe within the walls of Eucalyptus, but her friends aren't willing to settle for a world that the adults say is just the way things are. So yeah, sign me up. Like, Bitter is the parent of our main character in Pet, so it's cool to get the background of Bitter and just learn more about their life. So yeah, I'm excited to read this. This looks like a quick and easy reads. This is something definitely I'm going to prioritize for the month of March. Myself is The Paradox Hotel by Rob Hart, and I believe this is a sci-fi mystery. Yes, sci-fi mystery, and it just basically says an impossible crime, a detective on the edge of madness, the future of time travel at stake. Yeah, sign me up. Apparently a mystery is happening, there's time travel, so yeah, I'm excited to see this or read this. I haven't heard of anything by this author, and this isn't a debut, so if I do enjoy this, I will add their backlist to my growing TBR. But if you did read this, if you know anything about it, definitely comment below. But if not, I will let you all know, hopefully at the end of the month. If not, y'all can judge your girl, right? Then I have Redwood and Wildfire by Andrea Hairston, who is also the author of the one book that I did, DNF, this month. So I hope Andrea I hope Andrea that our history together doesn't stop me from reading this book. But it says, at the turn of the 20th century, minstrel shows transform into vaudeville, which slides into moving pictures. Hunkering together in dark theaters, diverse audiences marvel at flickering images. Redwood, an African-American woman, and Aiden, a Seminole Irishman, journey from Georgia to Chicago, from haunted swampland to a city of the future. They are gifted performers and hoodoo conjurers, struggling to call up the wondrous world they imagine, not just on stage and screen, but on city streets, in front parlors, and wounded hearts. The power of hoodoo is the power of the community that believes in its capacities to heal. Give me all the hoodoo books that you have. I'm really excited about this one. I hope I enjoy it, and Andrea doesn't let your girl down. By C.J. Washington. That's a pretty cool cover too, like Holmes. And this one says, C.J. Washington's riveting debut novel dives into debut novel dives into the raw emotions of a grieving mother whose quest to heal from a mysterious condition threatens to unravel the lives of those around her. Just sounds really cool about a mom who gets pregnant and then she has this condition, and then she seeks the help of a geneticist, I believe. So yes, give me all the STEM related reads. But yeah, I never read, well, obviously I haven't read anything. This is a debut, Erica. I'm excited to read this and to hopefully become a new fan of someone's writing. Next up, we have Homicide and Halo Halo, or is it Halo Halo, by Mia P. Maninsala. Sorry, Mia, I probably butchered your name. But this is book number 2 in the Tita Rosie Kitchen mystery series, which is like a cozy mystery series about a restaurant, Filipino restaurant. Yeah, Filipino restaurant where they like, Mia, like the way you just write about the food, or the way that you wrote about food in the first one, just like had your girl hungry. And I don't think I've ever eaten Filipino food, so I definitely have to try that, check that out. But let me shut up about food and tell you what this book is about. Things are heating up for Lila Macapagal. I hope I'm saying Lila's last name. Not in her love life, which she insists on keeping non-existent despite the attention of 2 very eligible bachelors, or her professional life, since she can't bring herself to open her new cafe after the unpleasantness that occurred a few months ago at her aunt's Filipino restaurant, Tita Rosie's Kitchen. No, things are heating up quite literally since summer. Her least favorite season has just started. To add to her feelings of sticky unease, Lila's little town of Shady Palms has resurrected the Miss Teen Shady Palms beauty pageant, which she won many years ago. A fact that serves as a wedge between Lila and her cousin/rival Bernadette. But when the head judge of the pageant is murdered and Bernadette becomes the main suspect, the two must put aside their differences and solve the case, because it looks like one of them might be next. Girl, sign me up. Like, sign me up. I think this reminds me, maybe why I like this is because this reminds me of like the Boxcar Mystery series, a little like a family trying to solve a murder mystery. But this one just happens to have food elements in it. So yeah, I'll be sure to let you all know I'm definitely prioritizing this as a read for this month. Just because I enjoyed Arsenic and Adobo so much. So I'm excited to get to this one. We have Cameron Battle and The Hidden Kingdom by Jamar J. Perry. And look at this cover. Like, this is so cute. This reminds me so much of my son. And I'm hoping we can read this together. I've had this one from the library for quite some time, so I have to really get to this one. But it's inspired by West African and Igbo. Oh, my phone moved. Sorry. Inspired by West African and Igbo history and mythology, this adventurous middle grade fantasy debut, perfect for fans of Aru Shah and Tristan Strong, celebrates the triumphs and challenges of a boy finding his true path to greatness. I don't tend to read middle grade, so I'm excited to read this one, hopefully to read it with my son and see if he likes it. But yeah, it's just a little cute read. It's just a little cute cover and something that I hope to read together with my kids. That is it. And then I do have a few audiobooks that I want to get through this month. So first, Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Satano. What happens when you mix one accidental murder with 2,000 wedding guests and then toss in a possible curse on 3 generations of an immigrant Chinese Indonesian family? You get 4 meddling Asian aunties coming to the rescue. Girl, sign me up. Like, that just sounds so good. It has a mystery. It sounds like it has like a familial elements to it, and just a lot of fun. So I do have that one audiobook through my library, so I hope to get to that. And then my next audiobook is Diswoven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi. I do have a physical copy of this one, and I plan to read it along with listening to the audiobook. And it says, clashing empires, forbidden romance, and a long-forgotten queen destined to save her people. Best-selling author Tahira Mafi's first in an epic romantic trilogy inspired by Persian mythology. Y'all heard the buzzword, child. Persian, right? I definitely pre-ordered that based off of the word Persian mythology or the words Persian mythology. Never read anything by Tahira Mafi, so I'm hoping that I enjoy this and can read their backlist works, which I've heard a lot about the Shatter Me series. So hopefully I enjoy this one, and Tahira will have a new fan before the end of the month, and it is, let me read the title instead of trying to read it. It is Unmasked: My Life Solving America's Cold Cases by Paul Holes, and from the detective who found the Golden State Killer, a memoir of investigating America's toughest cold cases and rewards and toll of a life-solving crime. So yeah, that one sounds really cool. It's just a memoir of, what is his name? Paul. It's a memoir of Paul, and this one is set to release in April. So I'm hoping to get to this one sometime this week. But it seems like it's a really quick read. It's only 270 pages. I just hope, usually with like books like this that I really like crime novels, I tend to jump or run to Auntie Google to like find out more stuff, and that like delays my reading. So I hope I can get through this and then do my Google searches after I wrap up the book. But y'all, that is it. I didn't bring water, so my mouth is super dry. That is it for the books that I have finished already through, what are we, 14, 15 days through March? I don't know, like, what is time at this point? But those are the books that I've read, and then the multiple books that I plan to get to or hope to get to by the end of March. It is very ambitious, I know. Hopefully I will be able to read a lot of these. I also have a few more books coming through from my library hold, so I don't know who I think I am or whether I think I'm going to find all this time to read all these books, but I will get most of them done. But that is it for today's video. I hope you all have a great night, morning, weekend, whenever you are watching this. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And also comment anything that you are reading for the month of March. Again, I'm a nosy Nancy. I love to hear what other people are reading, and then continue to probably add those things to my ever-growing TBR. And hopefully one day to get to them and then have conversations with others about those books that they are reading. So yeah, if you do feel comfortable sharing what you are reading this month, definitely drop a comment below. If not, hey, I hope you enjoy the books you're reading. But that's it for me today. I hope you all, like I said, have a great day, and I'll catch you on the next video. See ya. Look how ashy I am. Restart. Excuse my bookmark. First, I have Coming of Age in Mississippi, and they put these, oh my gosh, they put these stupid stickers. I'm pretty sure I can rip this off because I've seen the other librarians do this.